In the online myco space, the hype train's starting to feel a little more important than the actual work. People chase the next overhyped drop, swear it's the one, and then quietly realize it didn't really deliver. But they keep cheering anyway, because being near that hype feels like it upgrades them too. That's not what we're building here, and that is not how GroundZero works. This episode is a flag in the ground for craft over clout. Clean swabs, strong genetics, real standards, and the discipline to do your own work. Not rebranded work, and not a polished photo with a cool story behind it. Because our community does not need louder hype. It needs more cultivators and breeders who treat trust like the real product. Yo, welcome to the MycoGeeky podcast, where we explore the fascinating world of mushrooms and the people who love them. From expert cultivators to passionate foragers, we bring you deep conversations, cutting-edge insights, and everything mycology. Whether you're a seasoned mycophile or just curious, we invite you to geek out with us on the wonders of fungi and join the mushroom movement. All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the MycoGeeky podcast. We are back. Took a break, took a hiatus, whatever you want to call it, a sabbatical. Only nobody paid me to do it. This is the MycoGeeky podcast. I'm in my basement. This is my happy space, surrounded by mushies and mushroom growing paraphernalia. New microscope. Where are we here? New microscope. New incubator. All sorts of fun treats and toys. Geeky just cannot wait to play with in more full fashion this spring, this summer, this fall. We are going to just be mushrooming the crap out of life. I cannot be more excited. Anyway, so now that everybody knows what's going on this year, we're doing a whole bunch of cool new stuff, new channel launch. Get ready for that announcement shortly. I got to button up a few more things before, we make it official. But it's going to be pretty exciting. I'm recording the first episode for that this coming Saturday. So yeah, get ready. All you cultivators, I'm going to give you guys a lot of reason to get out in the woods, a lot of reason to broaden your knowledge base beyond just cultivation practices, and really just try to evolve and become as well-rounded cultivator mycologist you can possibly be. So looking forward to that. Shout out to my birth mother. She just had spinal surgery today. She would be in the chat probably, but yeah, she's probably doped up on some morphine right now, recovering from some spinal fusion. So shout out to her. And shout out to my family who puts up with me on prep days and all that stuff. Really appreciate it. Gotta thank the fam for all the support. They let me do a lot of mushroom stuff. I really appreciate it. Anyway, cultivator tonight. I've been friends with this guy for quite a while. During the period of time when I wasn't doing as many podcasts, I just really, still like talking about mushrooms. I couldn't help myself, and deepened some friendships in the Discord with a bunch of guys, 5 or 6 guys I talked to quite a bit, and GroundZero is one of them. And he's a great cultivator. I've grown a handful of his stuff. Very impressive. I like everything about the guy. He's a straight shooter, no nonsense, and just keep saying stuff that in the back of my head I keep thinking, yeah, I like this guy. This is exactly what I like hearing from a cultivator. So anyway, we finally got it set up. We're gonna, really give him a nice round of applause when he comes on. He has had all sorts of personal stuff going on right now. Like we all do. We all got stuff going on. Anyway, I'm really glad that we actually made this happen. We were trying to pre-record it. That was not working out. So I said, let's just go live. Let's just go live on Monday. So that's what we're doing here. So this guy, he grows mushrooms. I think you guys can relate. He breeds mushrooms. Some of you guys can relate. Some of you guys maybe haven't gotten that far, or, maybe it's not appealing, but you're going to learn a little bit about it tonight, I'm sure. But most importantly, he's a guy who grows mushrooms just like the rest of us. And so without further ado, let me welcome to the show the one and only GroundZero. What's up, man?
Hey, how's it going? Pleasure to be here, man.
Good, good. The pleasure is all mine. I have been impressed with you from the get. Everything just, I never, dude, sometimes I talk to people and you're like 2-3 days in, a week in, then they just start saying some stuff and you're like, oh, okay. We were on a first date there for a while. You were behaving, and now I'm like seeing a little bit more of who you really are. That's not the case with you. You are the real deal. So I'm honored to have you on the show.
Thank you very much. I'm definitely honored to be here.
Cool, man. Okay, so I'm switching up the beginning a little bit. I want to know why mushrooms. What was your, let's go, ground zero moment? The point that you stopped dabbling and you started treating mushroom cultivation like a craft.
I think really for me it was when I really dove into like mycology head on. I would say it kind of exposed a lot of my blind spots and my weaknesses, and every time I thought I understood something, the grow kind of told me otherwise. And I don't know, kind of taking it seriously really wasn't a option. It was the only way to stop lying to myself about what I actually knew and kind of just move forward with it, I guess.
Yeah, I've had this talk with several people, and I think one big one is the craft, and that you could probably say this for a lot of other practices, but I think when you're trying to grow a living thing that's as temperamental as mushrooms are, there's just no room for error, right? Like I can like to play basketball, and if I miss a shot, no big deal, right? If I do something wrong in cultivation, I got a tub of trichoderma, I got I got something stalling out, I drop a grain jar on the floor, like it really immediately kind of course corrects you and makes you step up to the plate.
Yeah, there's definitely no room for shortcuts, that's for sure. Yeah. You kind of got to get right to the point.
So I'm curious, when you first started growing, what brought you to cultivation? Just sheer curiosity? What was it for? Just the practice of it? Was it for the medicine? What really got you interested in the beginning?
Well, originally, I would say when I was younger, took some mushrooms and had a amazing experience, and always was kind of fascinated with them even since childhood. I could remember I had this book, Scratch and Sniff Christmas Story, I guess you could say, with Santa Claus, and they had all the red amanitas under the tree. And I always thought, ever since then, always with like the fairies and whatnot, it's kind of like a mystical experience. I always had that natural like drive towards mushrooms, I guess. And when I was a teenager, I experimented like many of us. And I had a great experience, and I had a friend's father actually, who a Vietnam War vet, actually a hippie too, which is kind of a strange thing at the same time. But he actually showed me how to grow some mushrooms. It's something he's been doing since I think the early '80s.
Wait, did you just say an old hippie taught you how to grow mushrooms?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, originally. It isn't like what I've learned, in the last 7 or so years, but just some basics. A lot of stuff has evolved over the years, so a lot of things are different.
Well, yeah, back in the day, the PF cakes, just.
I think my first grow was 05 for me personally. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Way back in the day.
Definitely a little different than what I'm doing today. That's for sure.
So did the GroundZero of days of old back in 2005? Could he have ever imagined he was going to be able to breed, isolate monokaryons, actually do something beyond just crossing your fingers and hoping they grow?
Honestly, I always kind of had a affinity towards chemistry and more of the science side of things. So as far as mushrooms in mycology, no, not so much, but it kind of where my path had led me, and I'm a firm believer that the universe puts you where you need to be when you need to be. So just kind of ride that spiral.
Oh, it's a spiral. Yes. All right, man. So let me ask you this: in the beginning, if you think back to sort of your mentality as an early cultivator, to where you are now, like right in the beginning when you were just getting going, what was something that you believed to be true that you now know is completely, you were just not even close?
I would say hands-on approach.
Okay,
Like
what do you mean by that?
it was a lot more like kind of like how more newcomers do these days too. It was all you have your hands on everything too much instead of like a set and forget and let the mushrooms do their thing kind of mentality. It was always open, mist, fan, kind of that thing. And when you don't have a full understanding of the biology behind these things, like it's really where you kind of mess up. It's always best to have a full understanding of what you're doing before you start getting into things. And I think that's really what made the difference for me was wanting to change my approach and really sticking with the science and listening to microbiologists, microbiology, biology. There's a lot of great information out there. I mean, unfortunately, there's a lot of bad information, so you got to take the good with the bad. But you know, um, reading some actual good science literature and fungal literature is kind of a good place to get a solid foundation and start understanding, where to go.
Yeah. Yeah, so I agree. One thing that I notice with the new growers is they think they can exert their will on the mushrooms. They can boss them around, or they can hurry it all up. I remember when I started talking about drippy corn. Shout out to my buddy Stunnin21 who told me about drippy corn. But it just became like a frenzy, and I mean, I thought it was neat and interesting, and every once in a while I will run the drippy corn if I'm in a hurry with something for whatever reason. If I just need to run a grain to go a little bit quicker than usual, I'll do it. But for the most part, I'm like, why are y'all in such a hurry?
I actually I'm kind of against that whole drippy corn thing,
Okay.
personally. I mean, you're adding simple sugars and mushrooms like a lot of complex carbohydrates, and um, you're actually, to me, you're making your environment more prone for other organisms to
Oh yeah.
take hold. And
Yeah.
keeping it simple, a healthy grain spawn, cocoa coir, especially
Yeah.
for cubensis. The mushroom can only digest so much nutrients at a time. So like your grain spawn pretty much holds all of it. That's the whole thing with the CVG. Like, yeah, it's great for other types of mushrooms, but for your basic cubensis, you have all your hydration from the grain spawn and your cocoa coir at field capacity. And the grain spawn has all the nutrients it needs to sustain against multiple flushes. So really to add in for what minimal anecdotal, like,
Yeah.
to me, like I said, I'm very science oriented. I know that simple sugar is kind of it favors other organisms over our mycelium, and
Yeah.
actually can do a lot more. Could interrupt gas exchange and a few other things if I remember correctly. So yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, it. One thing that I have noticed is what you can get your mycelium to do on a plate is one thing. What you can get it to do in grain is another thing. And what it
Definitely.
does when you spawn to bulk is a whole nother thing.
Yeah,
So yeah,
definitely.
yeah. I mean, I don't run it because, as a general rule, because it does increase your likelihood for contamination. Like you said, the simple sugars, bacteria really like it. So unless you are just beyond on point, it can definitely cause some problems.
Yep.
And I saw that with younger growers that were trying to run it because it looked so cool. And yeah, so
You need to have
I'm with
a
you.
strong foundation there. Like if you're going to do that, like you said, for some minor potential gains, at least know what you're getting into.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
and this the whole thing. I'm never against experimentation. I'm totally for it. I do it myself all the time, but you have to know the reason why. Like, nothing bothers me more than failures not knowing why something is doing what it's doing. That bothers the heck out of me. So.
Yeah, when I talk to new growers and they come at me, because of course I respond to them, and they like that, and then we get to talking, and then somebody else finally responds to them, and then maybe they say something just a little bit different. So then they come back at me with, "Oh, this, that, and the other thing," and I go, well, "Okay, why would you do it that way? Do you remember what I said about why we're doing it this way, right? So why are you going to do it that way?" "Oh, I don't know." "Okay. Yeah. So why?"
No reasoning
Yeah.
behind it. Just
Yeah.
kind
Just
of.
know the why.
It's the same thing I see people all the time with removing I have a decent subreddit out there. People always pulling their AIOs and putting them in like a fruiting chamber, like you would like a PF Tech.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not. I'm not saying you can't get mushrooms like that. Of course you can. But it's much harder to control. That surface condition, at the microclimate over the surface. Over it,
Yeah.
just because you have more surface area, it doesn't mean you're going to have a bigger flush. If you have proper conditions, that's where everything really falls in line. Morphology, potency, all of that is all affected by how it's grown, the environment, and everything. And if you're stressing it out, it's going to show in the final result.
Yeah. Oh man, we've all seen the grows. I got a guy right now. I feel so bad for him. He's struggling with contamination from somewhere. We just really can't entirely figure it out. I'm not there, walking through every step of it to see exactly what's going on. But I'm always trying to give him some stuff to try, and he keeps trying different things. But you can just tell when a tub's just not happy.
Yeah, of
You
course.
can just tell. With the cubes, that's why grow us when you first learning, grow the easiest, most vigorous basic cube you can get your hands on. Cheat and use some liquid culture. I don't give a crap, but you need to see what it looks like
Yep.
to go through that fruiting process, so you have like some sort of baseline understanding, so that the minute somebody goes, "Yeah, it's been a month and a half," you're really asking me if you think there's something wrong? You already know there is. Yeah.
Yeah, you definitely got to pay attention every step of the way, and agar too, even from your agar stage all the way on. Studying your mycelium and knowing how it behaves at each step on grain in your tub, like you said, it
Yeah.
behaves differently each way. So
Yep. Yeah, man. Like when I always tell people, because in the beginning they're gonna get trichoderma typically, and I always say, don't open that sucker up again. Just walk outside, get as far away from your house as you can if they live in a house, but then I say, but open that tub up and spend some time with that old trichoderma. See, pay attention, see what it looks like, see where it's green, see where it's white, see how the matting of the morphology and the texture of that mycelium versus your cube mycelium. Take the time to actually pay attention to everything. It's important.
very true. And then take your clothes off and jump right in the shower before you get in your grow area too.
And then take your clothes off in your backyard. Make sure that your neighbor's not watching you and taking videos.
Or your garage. That's what I do if I was doing that.
There you go. Get naked in your garage, guys. Don't do it in the backyard.
Go right to the shower before you get in your grow room.
Yes. Yeah.
Spores will carry, that's for sure.
Oh man,
They'll end up everywhere.
Yes, I just had in the dead of winter. I had one jar. Oh, okay. So this is first time for me. Had a batch of grain jars going, and I had a couple mice come in the house, and the mice smelled the fresh cooked grain, and got up on my cart, my lab carts, and started chewing on the filter patches.
Oh,
They
wow.
realized that the hole was too small and they weren't going to be able to get in there. But because they chewed on a couple of these patches, I marked it like, this is potentially going to contaminate. Sure enough, it contaminated and sporulated. It was like real green in there. And when I took it outside in the dead of winter and opened it up, opened the top up, and just the wafting of those green spores, dude, just everywhere. And I was like, oh my God, what am I doing? I should have just thrown that jar out. Yeah. And I did exactly like you said. I took off everything but my underwear outside before I came in the house. Yeah.
Yeah, they're tricky. They definitely will.
Reason.
They'll stick, and they will show up in anything. I've had some strange experiences with spores before.
Yeah.
As I'm sure you have, all of us have.
Yeah, man. The spores, they don't play. They can hang
Nope.
out in outer space. They can do whatever they want.
They'll ride the smallest little current. And
yeah.
End up across the room in on one of your plates if it can.
Yeah. All right, man. So how about I got this question? Sure. Think back to like a big fail, some massive failure that you had that humbled you, and what did you learn from it?
Going back to the contamination, actually, I would say, and this has to go back also with what I was saying about understanding the biology and whatnot. And like you mentioned, the trichoderma and everything. I had a period of time, years back where I was cultivating nothing but bacteria. Like everything I tried, it contaminated. And it was because, I didn't understand my process. I didn't have a set goal. I didn't have a plan of execution, really. And I really had to take a step back and look at myself and figure out what I'm doing wrong and really realize, like, maybe I don't know as much as I know, and I really need to start doing some more research and listen to some folks. And I think that's really what did it for me. And it worked out great in the end too, because here I am today. So, I mean, if you don't learn from your failures, you're just going to keep repeating them. So,
100%, 100%. I for a while, because I got so used to bags, that when every once in a while, if I ran something in a tub, I just stopped using liners, and realized that not only does that introduce side pinning, depending upon how rapidly that mycelial cake starts chewing up the water, but it affects the timing of that evaporative process as well. And so while you might get some pins come up on the side, and it's diverting attention from the surface condition in the on the cake surface, it's doing that because it's evaporating too quickly. The surface where you want the mushrooms to grow is not favorable conditions unless you start farting around and misting it all the time. So I was like, oh man, and just getting sloppy, just going back and not doing all the things, not doing all the steps. And it's so easy to do that, especially once you've grown a bunch of mushrooms. And I'm busy all the time. I don't have time to do everything I want to do, so I start cutting corners, and then you're like, oh, that's why that was a subpar flush. All right, I guess gotta just do all the things. I can't just say do all the things. I gotta do all the things.
Yeah, it's definitely important to be consistent. That's for sure.
Yeah.
You want to have repeatability, especially in cultivations. It's very important. That's why, man, I write down everything, like pages and pages and pages of dates, times, just what I'm doing, what cross.
Yeah.
You have to. You can't rely on memory. Your memory lies. So.
Yep. Man, I just had that where I'm trying to grow some zaps and I usually label the top of the bag, right? And I had to put them into a fruiting chamber, and so I cut the bag so it's just got the bottom part of the bag. And I had not recalled that I had written down on the side the name of it, and it's in the fruiting chamber. I can't see it, and then one day I go, "Oh shit! I never wrote down which of my zap cultures this one was." And I was all tore up about it for a while. And then recently my fan went out and I had to get in that tub anyway, and realized I had written it down. But yeah,
Oh, that's
that
good.
that practice of you cannot be too methodical. You cannot write down too much information.
Never.
It's definitely important. So that actually brings me into another segment I wanted to get into that I thought I knew that about you, and I thought it would be good to talk to the audience about this kind of stuff, which is documentation. So let me just start off. So what do you record, write down every run, no matter what? What are the like? What's the data you have to capture every time?
Depending what I'm doing, and just the cultivation aspect, like to keep it simple for newcomers, it's very important to write down when you do each step. You want your date, time, everything, so that way you can go back and look and see, because your data will tell you over time. That is your evidence right there. You can go back and reference it and see what you did from one grow you want to put. And also another thing to document would be, ratio, how much grain spawn you put down, how much, your substrate, what was in your substrate. All that's important. Switching it around, just guesstimating and all that, it leads to unpredictability. So
Yeah, yeah, man. Some of the classics that I see, keep track
very
of your
important.
genetic. You
Yeah.
gotta keep track of your genetic at all stages. Yeah. The times of everything I can always tell in the Discord when people are a different level cultivator. Somebody will ask a question about something. Oh, how long did this take? And they can consult their notes and then they can write down, the date for. Well, I did this on these dates, and you're like, oh, okay, yeah, that's what you're supposed to do right there. Keep track of all the information. Um,
Actually
other,
started doing lab logs on my subreddit for a while, and
what do you mean
I thought
by?
that was interesting. Like just a daily up, update of
Mm,
what I was doing cultivation wise. Like if I was say that day I happened to put something to bulk, I would put that up there. Say, I also harvested whatnot, just basic little lab logs, just to get
yeah.
people. I was hoping, like, people would follow the leader and start writing down that kind of information, and get a good lead from at least what I was doing. And I've actually spoken to a few people that said that that's helped them. So I'm forever grateful for that kind of stuff. I always love when somebody says, I was able to help in some way, shape, or form. So.
See, we're alike in that way. I love giving away free stuff, my time, genetics, whatever. Um, but I definitely appreciate, like, you don't even gotta thank me a million times. But if you grow it out, man, just send me a picture of it. That's what I mean. That's just what makes my day. Oh man, that's so cool. I
Yeah, I do that
remember.
with a bunch of guys. It's always a feel good
Yeah.
feeling for real.
Yes. That is 100% what it is all about.
It's good to have some like-minded individuals around too. You are the company you keep for real. So,
Oh yeah. What do they say? Something about you become the average of the 5 people you hang out the most with, or something like that. Yeah, it's definitely true. Now, the things that I have never tracked that some of my guys in the Discord track are like environmental parameters. They have logs. They have little apps that track the temperature, relative humidity. So for the guys when they're working pans and stuff like that, if they have a really good flush versus a bad flush, they can actually go back and look at Were there were there different swings? Was the range of the swing tighter? Like what was different from the the amazing flush versus the failed flush? Was there
Yep.
something
Yeah,
different going on?
that's a great thing to do as well. Something I do with my gourmets. I don't grow Cubans these days are about the only actives that I still grow, and it's because they're near and dear to my heart. And there's so much you can do with them. They're very widely dispersed across across the world. There's a lot of different climates that they thrive in, so a lot of possibility out there. And it's the original type of mushroom, I guess. So I have a strong affinity and love for cubes, so I still grow them to this day. But for my gourmets, and I have a small gourmet farm. Yeah, all that is very important. You want to record your CO2 levels, everything. It's all good stuff to write down and compare and see if you have um, if something's going awry. You could always reference your notes. And it's definitely a great thing to record.
Yeah, I mean, like for example, if you let's say that you get a strain and you're like, I like this, but I want it to be a little more potent, or I want it to be taller, or I want it to be faster, whatever. As you're going back to spore cloning, going through, several years working this genetic, if you don't write down some of this information, you're just sort of guessing, and it's subjective. So if your goal is to continue to isolate a more vigorous genetic with the purpose of faster colonization, hopefully faster colonization once you spawn to bulk, how do you really know? Maybe your intuition's right, but also maybe it's not right. If you didn't actually write that stuff down, you could have 2 years of work in and not really be able to prove that you improve the way that genetic worked. And yeah, you got to write it down.
Yeah, and actually, kind of both with that. Intuition does serve you well in some aspects, because if you do have the data, then you do have the intuition to start to make certain choices to how you would go towards a project. Like for me, especially like how you're saying about vigor. Like I'm big about introducing landrace genetics back into a lot of the inbred stuff and whatnot. Um, it, it's it really does help, in my opinion, especially with the longevity.
Yeah. Well, dude, I got a bunch of crosses from you that had hillbilly pumpkin in it,
One of
and I
my
just
favorites.
thought, wow, it's funny. It was the first guy. I think the first time anybody ever sent me any crosses with hillbilly pumpkin in it, and I just thought, well, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, it's just a beast of a mushroom. You can punch it in the face, you can piss on it, you can call it names, and it will still give you a big middle finger and give you an incredible
Some big
flush.
boys, yeah,
Yeah, so
that's
I'm
for
like,
sure.
oh, cool. That was a smart decision.
Yeah, I love hillbilly pumpkin. Like you said, it's a definitely to put out some big boys there,
Oh
and
yeah,
they're pretty strong too.
they can
It's
be. Yeah,
yeah, depending. Yeah, that's another thing. Genetics definitely are a big factor
right.
where you
Like
where you get them too.
your hillbilly
So
ain't my hillbilly, ain't another person's hillbilly.
that's for
Yes.
sure. Especially
Yeah.
I've worked. Me personally, I try. I'm not like the whole into the whole culture vulture type deal as you've seen. I work with genetics that I've been working on for years.
Yeah.
I have I have more crosses than I know if then I could probably count at this point. But what I've put out there and what people like, it's only a small fraction of the whole big picture, I guess.
Yeah. There is that point, and this, to kind of tie back into what how the theme of our discussion tonight, the hype train, the polished Instagram photos, all that kind of stuff. For me, there was a point where I'm just doing too much. I can't take a photo of it all because I'm not going to do all those posts, And also, I don't know, I got just really burnt out on just turning everything into content was just gross. Not that I ever completely bastardized that process. I don't really think I did. But man, like just seeing it where it's like, oh my God, oh, you did one little thing in mycology today and you had to show me a picture of it. Like, I would rather see the one amazing thing you did in the last 4 months than every frickin' thing you did
Yeah.
for the last 4 months.
Yeah, I'm, as you know, I'm not one for the camera personally. And it's complete opposite. My father is a photographer. So, and I'm pretty sure that's kind of my reasoning for why I don't like being on camera or actually taking pictures of myself for myself. But, doing what I do and trying to lead by example, you have to put results out there. You have to show folks that what you're saying is true. Otherwise, it's just a whole bunch of hot air. It doesn't mean anything. So
It's funny that I had written down a question because after all the documentation questions, I was like, well, okay, so let's balance out the documentation questions and being super scientific about everything with also this notion of intuition, grower's intuition, which that is the way my personality works. I love to intuit everything. I am observing, I am collecting that data sort of subjectively in my mind, but I can't write a paper with my subjective inclinations and intuitions. But it was cool that you automatically brought that up. It's true. You do get to a point where when you know a certain culture and you know that genetic, you might have that written down in your logbook, but you don't have to go reference it because you just know. You do have that sense. And to me, that, intuition, it doesn't have to be a mystical thing. It can really just be your brain thinking for you on an unconscious level, making decisions for you or kind of going, hey, you should do this.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's best to listen to that voice. And it really does. I'm a firm believer in what you put out there is what you get back.
And, yep. All right, let me see. Got a couple more here in that section. So when you're documenting information, and I think actually we should probably come to this question because we haven't talked about breeding yet, and this one will tie in better there. So let me backtrack a minute first. I don't want to ask this question at not the best time. All right, so let's go into sort of a little bit of ethics here. So when you are working a genetic and getting it ready to make available for somebody, what is like? How do you define when it is ready to share or when it is ready to sell?
Testing, Agar, and Agar. I'm one that I'm very big on transparency. So if something isn't quite right to my expectations, I'll actually put it out there and say that. It's a very big thing, I think, especially in this field and with the saturation that's going on with, there's a lot of people that are out there selling genetics and whatnot, and albeit it might not be their stuff, but like you gotta triple check. Like for me, I always check as I'm putting stuff out there. I even double check again like let's say I fill up a batch of syringes to go out of liquid culture, and I have a quarter of a jar left that I didn't pull up yet. Every time you go back into that jar, there is that slight possibility that you can have contamination, or contamination had gotten onto the syringe you're using and you push it back. It's always there. So even when you go back into your jar, I'll tell customers, hey, I need a day or two. I just want to make sure that this is good before I send it out. All that's very important. Like trust is a big thing. I've seen a lot of guys and girls put out stuff that I can't tell you how many times I've heard, well, I've gotten this and nothing happened. Or I've gotten this and it was nothing but bacteria.
Oh yeah.
So, and it's because it seems like there's no quality standards anymore. It's not even just with mycology. It's a lot of things that these days, like everybody just wants that instant gratification, and there's no patience to anything anymore.
Bro, I just hired this guy. I had a maple tree fall on a shed I built with tender love and fucking care. I built this shed, overbuilt it, but a big, massive maple tree fell on it and screwed it up pretty good. Now, Geeky had his rafter spans pretty tight, and it could have been worse than it was. But anyway, I didn't have the time, man. I'm working too much now, and these 3 kids aren't getting easier to take care of. So I go on Nextdoor, try to hire somebody to do this work, find this young buck, real driven. Oh yeah, I can do this job. Told him what I was looking for, told him I was a contractor, that I built this and that I want it repaired right and all that stuff. Yep. And so, I don't get home from work until it's dark. And so I'm not really looking at the shed as he's doing these repairs, and he's just sending me pictures here and there. And then at the end, I go to check it out, and this motherfucker fucked that shed up so bad. I mean, I could have hired a grandma in Walmart looking at knitting needles, and she would have done a better job than this guy. I was ready to literally kick this guy off my property. But he'd re-shingled the whole thing. So now repairs can't, he didn't put, I'm not going to go into details. Let me just say this guy did not know what he was doing and took a job he shouldn't have taken. So I just said, yo, man, and then weather got bad. But I was like, hey, when the weather eases up, we can meet. You can tell me how you're going to make this right, and then you're going to get paid.
Hopefully that doesn't cause any issues with the snow and water and everything.
Yeah, of course it did. But this is, it's like you said, standards. Like back in the day, nobody would have taken a job doing something they didn't know how to do.
Very much so.
Never.
People flaunt it, especially in this industry. Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah. It's sad. But in this industry, people, all they got to do is buy it. And then how much talent does it take to buy plates and buy a flow hood and just do transfers? That's all you got to do. My 10-year-old.
It's one of my favorite things.
My 10-year-old does it for me. She loves getting in the lab. But if a 10-year-old can do it, then, all these culture vultures got it made. So yeah, this is the unfortunate thing is we're not rewarding the right people, unfortunately.
Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff floating around that, I feel bad because a lot of guys that put these things out there and the hard work, it seems like nobody even realizes that they're the ones that did it anymore. Like, everybody grows tote. Like that's a big one. Tote's out there. And I can't tell you how many times I've been asked, do you know where it came from? Like, of course I do. But, the fact that, Tim Pig put in all that work and it's become as big as it is, and nobody is giving him the credit where credit's due. Like, just as a small example, that bothers me a bit. I think, there's a lot of guys have really done a lot to change mycology, like home cultivation, for what it is today. And it seems like that tradition that we had kind of going for a while is slowly fading. You got people growing AIOs.
No, GroundZero, we're bringing it back, dude. We are bringing it back. I am not going to rest until people understand why this shit matters to pay homage. And by homage, I mean pay the original people doing this work for their stuff. Where do you buy Jack Frost from? You don't buy it from me. You buy it from the guy who made it. as
Yeah,
long as
exactly.
you can get them to respond to your DMs, which not,
Yeah, it's very
which
true.
not everybody can. You just
Dave's a
buy
good
the
guy.
stuff from where it came from if that person is selling it. It's that easy.
Yep, very true.
I don't know how.
Unless you're given like permission by the creator, or like it's been put out there and like circulating, like
Sure. There's stuff that sort of has gone past that. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. But
Yeah.
a lot of stuff, guys work real hard on these
Yeah.
things and
Oh,
put
dude,
their soul into it, basically.
I got Toke 7 and 8 out of the gate, grew it out of the gate, did not give it to anybody out of the gate because it was just like,
This
go
is
buy
a
it,
very good
go
one.
buy it, go buy it. And you saw him. I mean, it was going to be released this month, then the next month, and I was like, oh, they're just trying to get up on as many swabs as they possibly can, so that they knew once it was out, and it was going to be gone forever at that point. But it shouldn't be that way. Should not be that way.
No, it shouldn't. There's certain things like isolations and stuff that have been like team efforts throughout the years and whatnot, and like even stuff like that. Like I really do feel like we should be trying to bring that whole mentality back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The whole
or check
gatekeeping
this
thing
out.
has kind of gone south.
Yeah. If I'm working on something, and let's say that I went to F3 on it and gave up, but I had some swabs, so I gave you some swabs, and you worked it a couple generations and got something really cool. You did that work. It
Yep.
is yours.
That's
You
great.
get to name it. All I would hope is that part of that origin story included from a swab I got from Geeky.
Exactly.
And but it's yours because you worked it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we know about cultigen stories that have gotten real ugly because of that. Yeah. And then also, there are people, I'm not going to name names or get into it, but if you did some work on something and you give it to somebody else and they do additional work, and that's where the cool shit happens, they did that work. It is theirs.
Yep.
They
Very much
should
so.
definitely honor, the origin story of that, but that doesn't give you the right to then get what they did and then sell it and claim that it's yours.
Yeah. Hey, even
in
just
my dream world.
even just like even for me, just like all right. So I've got a buddy Vic who does he grows himself, but he doesn't sell. He's not a vendor in any way, shape, or form. And I have this leucistic blue nip revert, and I had blue nips from Buster Dre for a while. It's actually one of my favorites to cultivate. Very pretty looking things. And I had sent some to him, and he got a fruit in there that was a revert. It reverted back almost basic cube, and it's leucistic as well, and very pretty fruits, very very pretty fruits. And he did a little bit of work on it, sent it to me, and I did a couple more, I grew it out, swabbed it, went down the generation, stabilized it a bit. But when people get that from me, it's clearly states where that came from. I didn't do that original work. Like I wasn't the one who got that fruit. That came from him. And without him and his clone work and everything, like I've got another buddy, Bruce, too. He's great. He does awesome work, man. And
you talking about Bruce of Shroom?
No, I don't want to say his last name on here, sure. But yeah,
a
he's
different Bruce. Okay.
Yeah, he does. He Canopy King, man. He big tubs, full canopy. Is amazing dude. And he's done a lot of work on stuff that I've sent him too. And like, I'm like, dude, that's all yours. And he's like, no, man, you're the one who did the cross and da da da. Like, to me, like, it at that point, it's community effort. Like we both work that. Like as long as that information is out there, that's all that matters to me. Like I'm happy knowing that people know that they had a hand in that, and
Yeah.
It's good for the soul, good for your conscience.
But what's lost, this is why this matters to me, is you begin to weave a real valuable, uplifting, revered sense of community when everyone's taking turns honoring lineages of things rather than hiding lineages of things, rather than renaming so that, well, I know I stole this from this guy, but I'm just going to put a different name on it. And, my grow didn't maybe look exactly like his, so I'll take a picture that doesn't exactly look like his. And now it's mine now, magically.
Until you go ahead and give that to somebody and it grows out the way
they
it was
go,
supposed
shit,
to.
that's just such and such. Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen that a lot too. Yeah.
Sadly. Yeah, it's just like, there's no patience. The most beautiful thing about this practice is the levels of patience that it teaches you.
Yep. That's the biggest thing for me.
Not just because you can't make them grow faster, but because the accumulation of knowledge and wisdom that you get take time. It doesn't matter how many of these shows you watch. I forget who this was. Somebody recently messaged me and was like, oh yeah, by the way, I just wanted to say that I waited a year to grow. I just kept devouring resources, and I kept telling the guy, bro, I know what you're doing. You just want to kill it out of the gate so you can walk around with your big metaphoric penis and go, look at me, I kicked ass out of the gate. And I was like, but I've watched cultivators do that. I've helped cultivators do that. And then 6 months down the road, everything starts falling to shit and they don't know why and what's going on. And it's because I just held their hand probably a little bit too much. But if you actually earn all these steps and stages, then you, like you said, you know why you're doing what you're doing. You can troubleshoot this stuff yourself. This is what, when I do my little series I'm working on right now, it's really going to be about less about step by step, do this, then do this, then do that, and here's the exact measurements for this. There will be some of that in there, but the primary thing is really going to be, how do I think about all this when I'm doing it? What's my thought process? How do I diagnose things when they're not going right? Do I really understand how things interplay? Because when you start adding all these variables, it's really hard to know which thing is having what effect, and I have a process for all that stuff. But the other patience
Very true.
is just how long, like, we're going to talk about your crosses. And everybody, for a hot minute, Ed and I were talking about crossing, and there's some other people, doing some crossing. And the next thing you know, that became like the hot thing to do. And then a lot of people, there weren't not many people still doing it. And why is that? Because it's a lot of work.
Yes, it is. Well, doing it the right way is especially a lot of work too.
Yes, it takes time.
Doing it, doing cross in any way, shape, or form takes time, but there's levels to this. So
there are, yes.
Just like everything else.
Yes. To get real hip hop about it, there's levels to this shit. Yes.
Yep, for sure.
Yeah. Even with to go back to documentation, I've never seen anybody send me a swab that had so much information on it that my jaw just dropped. Like, I've dreamt of receiving a swab, and let's say it came from a wild genetic, it would link to an iNaturalist observation so that I could see exactly where it came from, and maybe that would even have some DNA information, which would be great. But if it didn't, even if it had a link to go to, like, this is just a photo of the actual tub that these swabs came from. Or if you really want to be a pimp and a player, that you start going fruit to fruit, you take a picture of the fruit, let's say you get 6 swab sets out of that fruit, and you number that, like, you could get real serious about your documentation, and you would differentiate yourself on a level that nobody could touch. And watch, I'm saying all this right now, and it's a great fucking idea. No one will do it because it just requires that much more work.
I actually hate to say it, but that's how my swabs work on my site.
Okay, there you go. All right. Snap. Boom. Yes, I love that. That is what it should be.
I'll actually put up links. I don't use Instagram much, but the couple of times that I do use my Instagram, I'll show this grow came. Here's the swabs from them. You want them? They'll be on my site at this name.
The boutique releases. I love it. I used to go to a sushi joint in Los Angeles, and there was no menu. There was no menu because it was one dude, and he got up at like 3 a.m, went downtown, and only picked the best sushi. And if it wasn't, they all want yellowtail, but if there's no good yellowtail, then there was no yellowtail on the menu that day. And because he had fucking standards, because he was an exceptional sushi chef, and he, only wanted the best. We could be doing that. Anybody. I got a young guy that's cultivating now, and he seems to be taking it real seriously. And I'm always challenging him, like, yo, dude, you can do more. What else could you do? Can next level all your shit. Always next level what you're.
That's a great motivator too. I'm sure, especially like coming from you, if as a new cultivator, he's really probably trying to push himself.
We'll see.
That's a good thing, man. I think
we'll see. But yeah, it's just it'd be great to have all that information, wouldn't it? Or even just like I started doing putting if it was a first or second flush swab. Just because, if I have both, I'll send, if it's a motivated cultivator and they really want, like they've been bugging for a certain thing, I'll send them both and say, hey, I'm going to send you first and second flush. See if there's any differences between that. Like all that the data capture, there's no limit to it. And that's where we're going to start figuring some stuff out.
It's actually funny you say that too, because it's actually an idea that I've been dabbling with myself, like on my swabs. There's QR codes on everything.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I'm thinking to do it a little bit deeper than just linking it straight to the product page. I was thinking about doing it per, like as you were just saying, per grow, so they could see exactly where each one came from. Because I might have, 10 swabs from the beast this grow, but I might have 5 swabs left from a previous grow from a monster fruit that came out the tubs, and you might want that. So
you do want that. Yes, exactly. Yeah. But the other thing it does, even if you don't know any of that and you don't know what to do with that information yet, it is setting a standard, and it is differentiating you, and it is showing everybody that you care. Like I remember somebody said to me one day, why'd you do prints on those Ecuadorians, man? And I'm like, I do prints on everything that makes prints.
Yeah, why not?
Everything. Why would you not do that? Oh, well, bag of peel. Sure, okay. Well, if you're a drug dealer, then go do that. But if you are just growing for yourself, which is the only reason I'm here. I'm not here for anybody who's a bulk grower. I have no problem with them. They are also doing a service for the community, in my opinion.
Yeah, of course.
But I'm not here for that. I'm here because this medicine changed my life, and I want people to be able to do this themselves. And if that cultivation practice also has an effect on them, even better.
Yep.
And it does in so many cases.
Yeah, for me, that's the biggest aspect for me is the whole cultivation aspect of it. That's really that's my medicine, my healing is sitting in here and, sitting on my scope and just trying to absorb information. Like you said, why wouldn't you take a spore print of something you could? I mean, all those spores, it's just so much information, so much stuff you can do with it. It's crazy. That one print you could do a ton with. So.
Well, and then the other thing that people also don't think about is the way. So, okay, let's say you have a monoculture. So theoretically, that's just two discrete nuclei that are hanging out in those hyphae. And when
Well,
sexual reproduction
one each.
goes, what's that?
Sorry, I was saying, yeah, one each. Continue.
Yeah. Yeah, so let's say that your grow started with a monoculture. And so, theoretically just two nuclei, but every time you have karyogamy occurring and you have sexual reproduction occurring in the basidia, it's shuffling that deck again in
Yeah,
many different ways.
yeah, meiosis, exactly.
Yeah, every trillions of whatever combinations that genetic can reshuffle, it's doing. So when you have a print and you're taking a little bit of it off with whether you're using a loop or you're using a blade or you're using water or whatever you're doing, you're just getting some of those spores, right? Well, what do most people do? They swab when they're making swabs. They just swab one or two gills on that fruit, and then there's your swab. Then they move to the next one, swab that next one, right? I'm gonna blow everybody's mind. Why wouldn't you do a stroke on one gill of one fruit, a stroke on a gill of another fruit? You're maintaining the genetic diversity that's possible with that original dikaryon. But you're if you don't do that and you do it the way everybody does it, that's fine for isolating. And because in isolation, you do want to eliminate variability and you want to bottleneck things. But to know, again, like you're saying before, the whys. If you are trying to pheno hunt, then you might adjust your swabbing approach and try to introduce more spores from different fruits on one swab for the purpose of seeing what additional variability you might get.
Well, here's actually where I think I differ than most when it comes to that approach. Like with me, what I do is I'm not just hunting for a single mono. Let's just say we're going to work with one parent fruit here. I'll take, I'll hunt and get 10 different monos out of that. And I'm going to I'll pair 2 on one plate, 2 on another plate, 2 on another plate, 2 on another plate. So that way I'm lessening that genetic unpredictability. It's less information to work with. And then I'll see from that which plates I thought had the best vigor, which ones, were the healthiest, what grew strongest. And I'll select from that, grow those out, a couple different tubs for each one. And I'll go from there and select from what I like out of that. And I think that's, in terms of stabilization, I really do think that helps you along the lines of getting towards your final product per se. Limiting genetic information for me is definitely like my go-to, I would think, for crossing. And yeah.
Yeah, people don't realize just
a lot of things you can do. That's for sure.
Yeah, they don't realize how many ways that game can be played, for sure. Like, yeah, you if you're playing the Mon game, there's a bunch of ways to play that game. Playing the Daimon game, there's a bunch of ways to play that game. And apparently there's some motherfuckers out there trying to tell everybody they can do die crosses, which, you know what? Good for you. Go.
Wait, what are they saying with the dye decaratization and all that? Or
no,
not even doing that, huh?
They're literally telling people to just put 2 dicaryons on a plate.
I don't think that works.
It doesn't, but you can't tell people that. They do what they want. Now, I will tell you this. I've had Daimon crosses not take, and I do believe that in the attempt for it to take, it is having still some effect on the expression of the dikaryotic tissue.
Well, even some Mons won't take. Not everything is compatible. So.
Right. But yeah, anyway, so without going down that rabbit hole, yes, again, misinformation, people reading papers they maybe don't fully understand, and then spread
Yeah,
misinformation.
because that whole die thing that throws me out the water, because that means there's four nuclei that it would be doing what? They're not sharing anything with each other.
Well, so there are papers about that kind of gene transfer in nature, but it's due to environmental pressures, things like that. If you had a really worn out culture, you could theoretically, if you had a basically, if you knew you had a
Stress it.
weak culture, you could maybe do that. But on a plate, I'm not convinced that's really a thing to be
Well,
telling people as a method for this. But
could it possibly lose that? My question there would be: could it possibly lose, like when you're stressing it that much, revert maybe back monokaryotic, and that's why it's crossing?
So in nature, I was about to say in real nature, in nature, right? So you have so in my front yard, I got some boletes that grow all the time. So they're fruiting, they're dispersing spores. The next season, those spores, or that season potentially, but then also next season, the spores regerminate, and there's always a refreshing going on. If some new mycelial culture is developing, like in one little corner of the soil, and it is really dominant and superior, it will ultimately take over that spot. They're fighting
Yeah, of
for
course.
dominance all the
Nutrients and
time.
dominance. Yeah, exactly.
And really old, right? Let's just say something stable, so stable where all the new dikaryotic, all the new spores that are germinating aren't really that different that it is changing anything. There is a point where it can senesce for a bunch of factors, and so this stuff is occurring in nature, but to try to make it happen on a petri dish is another matter.
What do you think about cultures that can only be expanded via cloning? Ones that don't have spores. What do you think in the future
Yeah,
of
yeah,
those hold? That's my question.
yeah. Well, you can do a diamond cross with something like that.
Well, yeah, of course I'm saying, but just the one in itself, like eventually that wouldn't it die out?
I don't know. I know somebody who did Enigma cross with B plus because right, that's for
Well, those, yeah, of course.
yeah, and it does, the stuff can revert for sure. Yeah, I mean like Ed Grand has said a bunch of times on the show. Reverting happens because things want to go over time back to the more dominant form. So if we've
Yes, stable and
isolated,
dominant, exactly.
these other traits, eventually in the right, maybe you got a little bacteria you don't know about, and then now it reverts or whatever, or temperature's not quite right, it reverts. That stuff is definitely happening.
Hmm.
Yeah, so somebody was talking about monokaryotization, where you're using mechanical action and chemicals to force it to split into monos. Yeah, find the scientific paper on that one for me. I'd love to read it. Theoretically, sure. Theoretically, I could start chopping up
As
hyphae and
you'd be
nuclei,
removing the cell wall and then
but
through
I'm not.
protoplast fusion, I would think. Kind
Yeah,
of,
there's a yeah.
that's a whole technical process, and you would need a lot more than most. I would assume
Yeah.
basic home cultivation
Yeah,
techniques
so
for that.
my thing, there's somebody, I'm not going to get into details, but there's somebody who has a technique, and let me just say the technique requires you to do something and sit on it for like a year or two, and then do something else with it. Well, cool, but like, and if that works for you and you're doing some neat stuff with it, do the neat stuff, and then make it available for sale or to give away to people. But as far as like an approach to sell, the secrets of that approach
That's gatekeeping, I
doesn't
would think.
doesn't really work for me. But it's cool. You know, it,
But
it, it could happen.
here's
Everything can happen once in a blue moon, But if you're trying to sell somebody for $100, I'm going to give you this
You want
secret.
repeatability, exactly.
We want it to work most of the time. Yeah, exactly.
Well, here's my thing with those is like, if you have, let's say, like Enigma, we'd say, uh, for example, like I could see you wanting to do a process like that to, get a mono of it or whatnot to cross with something so you get a true mon of, Enigma or whatever. But as far as trying to do it with something that actually produces spores and whatnot, why wouldn't you just, and who's to say you aren't just grabbing a new spore and continuing it that way? You know what I mean?
Right. Who knows? I mean, here's the deal. The cultivation and science are two totally different things. The requirements, the parameters, the level of statistical analysis, the amount of data that is required to write a scientific paper of any worth is different than fucking around and finding out.
Yeah, very much so.
It's a different beast. And so a lot of these, people go read a paper from 1981, from 1984 on this method and that method, and they used, agaricus. They used lentinus. They used some commercially appealing genus and figured out how to do some. So it works for that genus. But the more you learn about these mushrooms, the more you learn that what works for one genus and species does not work for the other, or for all. Maybe it works for 20% of your known mushroom genera. Doesn't mean it works for cubensis. The only way you know it works for cubensis is if the paper's written about cubensis, or if you go through quite a bit of methodical work and documentation to prove that it does. Now, again,
so would that be for like all Mycelium mycota, or
if you're, I don't even care. Yeah, just at the end of the day, what works for one, it's like take dogs, right? A training tactic for one dog one dog breed might not work for another dog breed because they all have different temperaments. They all kind of behave a little bit differently. They're all the same genus and species, but a dachshund is nothing like a Great Dane.
Hey, it's the same thing for cultivation, though, for newcomers. Yeah. That's great information for newcomers. Growing one species is not the same as growing another. They all need their own parameters. The environmental conditions, everything is different. They're all different. Yeah. So what one thing likes, the other might not. Like a big difference between a lot of functionals and gourmet is they really like aggressive air exchange, and cubensis does not. It's
different.
You got to know what you're working with.
Yeah, man. I remember being 19. I could come slick with it on one female in the bar, and it worked. And that same game didn't work on the next one. So you got to be ready to adapt.
True.
You got to be ready to deal. And what that really means, to continue that metaphor, is what charmed one individual might not charm the next.
Yeah, that's totally
true. You got
to
find out what they need and what they want. Yeah, but anyway, it's easy to just read a paper and go, well, here it is. It says it works on this. But there's a bunch of more confounding factors at play. And I'm not, if you're having fun, go have fun. Like I'm definitely at a point where if somebody hops in my DMs and they're just hell bent on proving me wrong about something, I'm like, dude, if you're having fun doing this, go for it. Oh, you think you're doing a thing that maybe I don't think you're doing? I don't even care. Go do it. If you're having fun, great. If you're trying to charge people money to espouse something that you think is true that very well could not be true, maybe I, ethically have a problem with that. But again, what can I do about it? There's people rambling right now on Reddit, on Discord, still in a couple random Facebook groups. And you can't, you can't control everybody's narrative. So all you can do is do what you do and do it as exceptionally well as you possibly can and improve it. That's why I keep talking about the documentation. And go to your website and see what, higher level documentation on this stuff looks like. That's exactly what I'm all about.
Hell, I even think on some of my products, I even put down to the spore size.
Man, I've been talking to Scott Astooney about this. When you describe a new species of mushroom, you have to do a description. You got to measure the spores. You got to describe the cap and the stipe, and if it has a vulva, the vulva, and when you do microscopy on it, you're looking for different cystidia. Is there structures on the gill edge, on the gill surface? What does the pilopilius look like? What some caps have that top skin. What does the skin look like? How is the hyphae arranged in that? What do the structures of the context look like? This is all high level shit that these mycologists are doing, right? And nobody to date, for all the shroomery experts that there are, and look, I know Alan Rockefeller's on shroomery. He is definitely an expert, and he could definitely do this. And there are other people on there who could definitely do this. But we have all these unique cultigens. We have these isolations, these crosses. We have seen, like, I don't know, does anybody ever just stop and go, we've done all this shit with just a basic cube? Just like a field cube.
I think it all the time, man. I love it.
All this crazy shit. We have Frankenstein, mad scientists, this shit to the nth degree. But what no one has done is done like the type description for Jack Frost, the type description for Toke, the type description for whatever. We, as a community, could start doing that stuff. We could agree on what typifies a given cultigen. I'll give you an example. The ODPE that I used to grow back in the day, and by back in the day, I mean a few years ago, looks different than I just got some ODPE from Full Canopy, and it's a little different. It's definitely ODPE. It has enough characteristics of it, but it's got a different stature to it. And so it would be awesome to standardize and sort of galvanize an understanding of some of these really exceptional crosses or isolations that we've gotten. That work has not been done yet. That's definitely a dream. That would be a great project for us to get.
Unfortunately, that also kind of goes back to what we got going on in the community, because you have somebody growing, let's say they're selling Jack Frost, but it's their isolation of Jack Frost that they worked, and they'll just sell it as Jack Frost, but yet you might only get 3 little fruits out of the whole thing instead of a canopy. Like, and then as a newcomer, you're going to say, oh, wow, I thought Dave Wombat was better than that, when it's not even Dave that did it, because if you did the research, you would know that Dave's stuff is exceptional. Like, his Jack Frost is why it's so big. He did the work to make it what it is. Like, it's the same, there's so much out there and so much variability that you really got to do the research, as far as not only, I think, where, like, who you get like the stuff from and the information from, but it's important to cross-reference, like double check, do some window shopping per se before you get into something.
Yeah, it's hard. And this is why, okay, what's Starry Night? Describe it. What typifies it? What are all the cystidia structures look like? Because I can tell you this, right? The gill attachment for a cubensis in the wild is different than some of the gill attachments I got on some of these mushrooms, that I grow in my tubs. So that morphological variability would be scientifically significant to actually measure and track, because it shows the level of environmental and genetic factors that can make these morphological changes happen. We're accelerating all that stuff. If you just left a dog out in the woods, a wolf or whatever, over time, that core original ancestor will evolve into other things, and new species will develop and all that kind of stuff. We're accelerating that in the lab, and there is some valuable scientific information that can be teased out of that. We just got to do that work. Which
and
starts
actually,
with documentation and note taking, and yep, that's the first skill to train for sure.
hey, and if when it comes down to stuff like that, following people like Alan Rockefeller would be good, because if there is somebody who wants to put in that effort and start like really doing that, like that would be a great person to follow. Like, it would be amazing to travel the world and document mushrooms. Like, I'm not gonna lie,
Yeah.
I would love to, but you know, everybody's got their place in the world and what they do, and you know, mine personally is in the lab, and I'm quite happy with it. But you know, gaining knowledge from people, like you got to stay humble. Like, yeah, I might know a lot more than the next guy on certain things, but you know, you might know a lot more on other things than I do, and
Yeah.
I can't just say, oh well, you know, you're wrong, because you know, I can't tell you how many times I've seen somebody who's grown an AIO with a random culture they stuck in the bag, and they think they know better than, you know, somebody with 20 plus years of cultivation experience. And that seems like it's really been what's been taking over the last couple of years, and that kind of stuff needs to stop, I think.
Drink deep of that well of knowledge. There is a lot of it out there, and you know, yeah. To speaking of Alan Rockefeller, he knows a lot. He's always learning, though.
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
He's always learning. That's what we should be doing. It's just always wanting to learn more.
Yep.
And do
Remain teachable.
Remain teachable and become better observers and documenters of what we are doing.
Yep, exactly. You are the eyes, so you're here for a reason.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, man. Hold on, let me see where we're at here with some questions. All right, so let's say, go for it. Let's talk about habits for cultivators. What are some habits that over time you learned, you developed, that you think are really evolved your work?
Sterile technique, and think about everything. Every little thing you do, there needs to be a rhyme and a reason for it. Being systematic about it, like you said, documentation, being sterile, clean, knowing how to move your hands in front of the flow hood, all that kind of stuff, just being more self-aware of what you're doing and knowing what the mushrooms want. And, you know, for cubensis, we're real lucky, man. They're very, like, as for a finicky mushroom, they're not very finicky whatsoever. It's kind of set and forget. And, you know, if you set your tub the right way or bag, you could let it ride until first harvest. Like, it's a wonderful thing, man.
Yeah.
It's a great feeling too when you see a nice big full canopy. So.
I love the, why are you doing this? Yes. I have people, do you get these people that ask you, do you have a candy cane sparkle? And I'm like, what's that? Oh, it's a new strain. Oh, who's got it? Oh, Tom. Okay, well, buy it from Tom then. Oh, well, I can't find him, or he doesn't have it, or da 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 da. I heard about it one time somewhere in the ethers. Bro, why do you want that? What do you want it for? You ain't never seen it, but you want it? Why? You want something you've never seen. You don't know what it is. Someone just told you it was good. Do you know how many? You can name a cultigen, and there's a guy out there that says it's the best trip he ever had in his life. So why do you want it so bad?
Might not be the same for you anyway.
Yeah. I mean, exactly. If you're hunting potency, I mean, there's enough people doing HPLC testing out there now, or using them silo Q tests or whatever. So chase potency, and that should be all you're doing. But why are you chasing it?
And how? Know what you're doing to get
Right,
towards that
right.
goal.
Yeah. So how you gonna improve potency? What's your plan? What's your
Oh,
hypothesis?
I had a good trip from this one. Well, it's anecdotal. Like
Yeah,
that doesn't
yeah,
really matter.
yeah.
That-
I mean, I don't know how many people you got. You have the exact same trip on that mushroom cultigen. It's the same one every time. It's not different. Yeah. But again, there's a whole lot of Pokemon Go going on out there, right?
Very
This is
true.
this
Yeah.
is the hype train, dude. This is right. You gotta get the new one. That new. Gotta
Very
get
true.
it. Gotta have it. Why? I don't know. I just fucking do. Gotta have it. Everybody else got it.
And it might not even be good. That's the funniest part.
It often isn't.
It might just look pretty for them, and then you get it. You get 3, 4 fruits, and
Yeah.
does nothing.
Yep. I mean, look, they're not all Toke. Toke was badass. Toke was awesome.
Still
That
good
was a
to this
legit.
day.
That was a legit release. Now, I'm an F7 guy
Totally agree.
myself, but and over time that is tamed out a little bit, but that is still absolutely what any breeder or isolator dreams of doing, is having something truly new, truly different that checks a lot of boxes. That's a cool cultigen. Most, and that lived up to the hype. Most don't. Most do not.
Yeah,
So
I'm surprised when I hear somebody tell me that one of my crosses that even I haven't shelved. I just haven't done anything with in years because I've got a lot of new projects, and they'll come back and tell me out of nowhere. They're like, "Dude, everybody loves that freaking thing." I'm like, "Oh, okay. You should work on it more." I got new projects.
yeah, but that hype train is real and it works. I mean, everybody knows that these, you ever see a supermodel when she's just getting a coffee at Starbucks? I lived in LA. I've seen them. They don't look like nothing special, dude. But when they put that makeup on and they get under those lights, they can make them look real good, right?
Yeah, a lot of Photoshop too.
Photoshopping and Lightroom and this, that, and the other thing.
Hey, you see it here with us too in cultivation. I see
That's,
guys
yeah.
that do it all the time. They crop out, they'll edit the colors, the whole nine, and try to make it look better than it is.
Or even stature. The way
Yeah.
the photo is taken, sometimes you're like, oh shit, these motherfuckers were small. I didn't know they were that small, but I never had enough scale in my photo to figure it out.
Yep,
Yeah.
exactly. They only show you the fruit at like a certain angle, and it looks a lot bigger than it really is.
Yeah. Or you can adulterate the photo. You can do a lot, and that's fine if you adulterate the photo for some sort of marketing purpose. But then it should say somewhere like, this was juiced up in Photoshop. Here's the raw image.
That technically is false advertising. So I mean,
But I mean,
yeah,
I mean, we do live in a consumer-driven society.
very much
If
so.
the first photo you see is a little juiced up, and it sends you to a website where you see the regular photos, then I'm not terribly mad at that, especially if you're transparent about it. But my preference would definitely be this, to show you photos of what you as the breeder or isolator believe that they're likely to get. That easy. But the documentation piece is hard. It takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of thought. I'm dealing with this right now. I'm doing research I'm working with a team to write some papers, and I'm having to learn, oh shit, I figured that out a week ago, and where'd that paper go now that has got the information in it? Now I got to find it again because I'm reading 30 papers because I got to know a bunch of stuff. Now where'd that go? So the organizing it all. That's a hard piece. But when you have to at least know what you're trying to do, or how can you organize your work if you don't know what the end goal is. So you are 100% right. You got to know why you're doing it all.
Hell, even for simple things like Agar and marking your plates, even with a system that you can record in your book, so that way you don't have to write out every little thing on your plates. You get in your, you just reference your book. It makes it a lot easier. Hell,
Well,
I do.
so Tim at Tip of the Cap Mushrooms used to do that. He would, when you bought plates from him, he would send you a little card, and he had codes for all his recipes that he sold. And a lot of people still use those, like
Wow.
PDYGs
Okay.
and MYAs and all that. And some of that still comes from like the scientific literature. But yes, 100%. You should know what your what is in your agar. Yeah, you should definitely know all that stuff.
It's important to. I really do think it's important that you make your own stuff too, because it brings you that much closer to what you do and understanding each step of the way, from
Yeah.
grain prep to even making your own agar and liquid culture. And you know what? The liquid culture thing, to me, that's a serious overhype. That was it's where most of these people are that are growing are home cultivators. They're not commercial growers trying to inoculate large amounts of grain spawn. You
Right.
could skip the liquid culture step entirely and just work with agar and make your life a whole ton easier. If I had to give anybody one piece of advice, it would be learn agar. Like,
Oh,
it's
that's for sure where it starts.
it helps you every way. Like, if you can identify what's going on agar, it will help you every step of the way.
If all you do is buy liquid culture, and I mean, look, it's obvious why people want it, because liquid culture is all your hard work in a syringe. And I don't have to buy any plates. I don't have to buy a pressure cooker. I don't have to buy nothing. I
Because I
can,
have it all. Exactly.
right? Because you did all that work for me. I just got to squirt it in a all in one bag, which, if you're brand new, and maybe the first thing you just want to do is have your first trip. A big demographic on this channel is older people, older than me. But like my age and older is the vast majority of people who watch this show. There are plenty of people in their 70s watching this show.
Aren't
Old
we around
folks.
the same age?
I'm 49.
Okay, I'm almost 40 myself, so
Yeah.
like
Yeah, so
2 years.
you're a little bit younger than me. Yeah. I'll trade you if you want. I'll be 40 again.
You're 10 years older
Yeah.
than me, so
Yeah. But these old folks, right?
you don't look it
Maybe
though, Geeky. It's good, man.
thanks, man. Maybe they just need to try the medicine first, right? Maybe they didn't try it in high school. Maybe they didn't go to Vietnam and try a whole bunch of psychedelics, and they don't got a pusher, man. They don't got a plug. They don't feel safe doing any of that. So they want to just grow it themselves. So cool. Buy all-in-one bag. The all-in-one bags are great. You shouldn't be a bulk grower buying all-in-one bags, though.
No.
That's weak. That's lame. That's pathetic. That's gross. And if you do that, shame on you, and go look in the mirror and cry for like a fucking hour at least, because it's disgusting. Just go work
Using
at
other,
Walmart at that point.
using
Come
other
on.
people's stuff to.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm never not gonna feel that way. But
I totally agree there myself.
it does serve a purpose, and I think that I don't even think we comprehend how many people want to give this stuff a chance, and they just want to try it out first.
But
Cool. You should not. What's that?
they need. I was gonna say they need to know that variability first. That's my biggest thing. At least do a little bit of research to understand the basic biology of what you're about to be doing, because yeah, like you might have a good culture, but when you inject it in there and it becomes contaminated,
Right.
why?
Then you don't know
Why?
anything. And
Yeah.
you just run back to the vendor and ask them everything.
Yeah, you
Yes.
ruined my stuff when it could have been their fault and they don't even know why.
Yeah. Yep. But yeah, that should be, and I've talked about all-in-ones and all that, but that never ever ever should, in my opinion, that be anybody that wants to cultivate and wants the benefits of cultivating, then should be doing all the stuff like you said, for sure.
Well,
The benefits are, I don't get me started.
I'm a, I'm a big supporter of not having bad habits, because if you start out with bad habits, you're gonna carry that along the way, and it's going to be harder for you to separate from that, because with AIOs, there's a reason that we separate and stick with grain spawn first, and then once that's fully colonized, we move that to bulk substrate. There is a reason for that. And while AIOs are great for beginners to understand, how the mycelium grows and behaves so they can observe it and whatnot, it should be a stepping stone, because you need to understand that's not it. For repeatability and consistency, that it's just not there. You're giving too much variability a chance. So
that is definitely over time what tends to be the case. And I will say, even my favorite vendors for cultivation supplies, their stuff's not better than mine. I can tell you that. And they know that. Like if you talk to Howard of Booming Acres, they're pumping out an insane amount of stuff, and they're doing a very good job, and they're controlling a whole bunch of parameters, but they can't baby it like I baby my stuff.
Yeah, smaller batches,
just
everything. Yes, exactly. So you have better quality control doing it more personally. Yeah. Totally agree.
And it's like riding a bike, right? Like, so you can ride a bike, or you can learn how to do a wheelie. You can ride a bike, or you can really ride a bike. And the more tricks and things you do on that bike, the more you appreciate that bike and all the fun things it does for you.
Well, companies like you said, like Booming Acres and whatnot, who pumps out a lot of stuff, that goes back to that transparency thing. You have a customer who gets a contaminated bag, and I've heard, they're pretty good about replacements and all that kind of deal. Mm-hmm. Like it really does come down to how you are with your customers. Like, even once in a while, explaining like, hey, this might be your fault, but like, hey, I'll throw you another bag or nothing. Yeah. Like stuff like that. Like it really gives you that extra credibility, and it helps the newcomer understand, like, hey, like maybe I should take a step back before wasting more money and putting more stuff into this other bag that I just got and having the same result.
Right. Oh yeah, this one dude I've been helping out in the beginning. Oh man, just throwing money all over the place, everywhere. It's from Million Genetics, a million people's bags, and I couldn't.
Always how it is.
I couldn't keep track. I'm like, where'd you get that from? Where'd you get that from? Where'd you get that from? Jesus Christ! Stop. Just stop. Let's just learn how to grow some mushrooms. Maybe eventually, if you got some money, you're like, okay, I don't like making substrate. Cool, buy it from somebody. I don't like making substrate. I wish I could afford to just buy it from my buddy P-Funk. I just buy substrate from him all day. But I can't afford to.
That's the whole thing. It's much cheaper to make your own stuff. In the long run, if this is something you want to do, if this is something you're going to do more than a handful of times, stop at the pre-made stuff. Learn how to go get yourself a bag of, go get some wild bird seed and figure out how to clean some grain and make some good grain spawn, and take it there. Like, experiment. Like, you've now got the information and the tools. There's plenty of it out there. Like, do it. Just do it. Like, you have to put in that effort. Like, if you don't, like I said earlier, you get what you put in. If you don't put anything in, you're not going to get anything out. You half-ass it, they're going to half-ass you back.
Yep. Yeah, man. Like, so my buddy P-Funk, I've known this guy forever. But both him and Howard and I were in the same service together, and they both kind of started in the same spot. And P-Funk, he runs Mycology Simplified. He's phenomenal. He's awesome. He's chosen to be one guy. I'm going to do the amount of volume I can do as one guy. He is slick. He has, he does a lot with his one self of labor. And because of that, he has bottlenecked himself to a certain size business. But also the benefits of that is he knows all his customers probably by name. He spends more time with them. He so there's pluses and
It's a good way
minuses
to be too.
to everything. So you got Howard, 7 autoclaves, 2 shifts, just doing the work, and he is truly phenomenal. Then you got P-Funk, 1 guy out of his garage doing some phenomenal work. And then you just got a guy like GroundZero or me. I got some substrate ready for sterilization. I am just doing all that stuff myself. Every once in a blue moon, if my schedule just does not. So one thing I will not buy from anybody, it has never worked out for me, is grain.
Grain. Yeah, I knew that was coming.
It doesn't fucking work out for me. I don't care who you are. Grain is hit or miss as a motherfucker when you buy it from somebody else.
A lot of stuff can happen in shipping too, and people don't seem to understand that. Yeah. The temperature fluctuations, all that can affect it.
Yeah. And like how long it's been and all that. And I used to do bags. I got bags as dialed as I could possibly get them. But I tell you what, my grain jars are fool fucking proof.
Yep. Yeah, I rarely get contamination these days myself in my grain. So
my grain is never the problem. Like that one time the mouse chewed a hole in the thing. That's why I got contamination. Otherwise, no problem. Just you cannot go wrong. The jars are small. They're isolated. There's enough space around them. Everybody, when they're doing them, the bags, we're just cramming that fucking pressure cooker so full of shit that at the end of the day, it's not the same. It's just not.
No, that also doesn't work either. You have to have some space in there. So yeah, by doing it like little batches, I think is.
I just can't. That logistically, that does not work out for me. I can cook more grain. I can get 9 jars in my pressure cooker, and that's like almost 5 pounds of popcorn. It's a lot.
I'm amazed by companies like Boom and Acres how they do it with their grain spawn, man. Because and their AIOs, because to me that's just to pump out that much and still have decent quality control.
They are super dialed on their autoclaves, man. They know how their autoclaves work.
Those big ones are hard too, man. So they're not as good as a small personal one. Like I think personally, you really need to know what you're doing there. So.
Yeah, it's like everything. Like any tradesman, right? In the beginning when you're using your little roofing nailer, right? You're like bop 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 bop. 20 years later, like,
yep, same way.
And then I don't know if people know this, but if you got an asshole building inspector, they look up your nailing schedule, and your nails have to be like a certain distance within a certain distance apart, right? These pros are within like a 1/16 of an inch on these motherfuckers.
Yep, the whole way.
It's called experience. This is what is valuable.
Yep, very much so.
What we are losing for sure. So, man, you want the biggest flex in the world is not the hype train. It is not the sexy photo. It is not the slick with it, whatever. That's fun to do. Cool, great.
It's that effort you put in behind the scenes.
The real work is the real flex.
Very much. Always been a firm believer in that. Your work should speak for itself.
Yep. Yeah, man, when people message me and go, oh yeah, none of your swabs contaminated, I always tell them, nobody should. This shit's grown in a fucking lab. Where should the bacteria be coming from? Once in a blue moon, sure, maybe, but realistically, those things should be clean as hell. They should be clean. Even wild stuff, if you're doing prints, you can waste the first print and the next prints will be way cleaner. You can definitely isolate off those. But these are things you only learn if you give an actual shit about this and suck up information, read books, learn from people. It takes time to
know how to properly do your swaps too is important, because they will contaminate no matter what if you don't handle them properly, especially if you don't let them dry and put them in the packet. All that kind of stuff is really important.
Not drilling into the gill tissue either is definitely helpful.
Yeah, very light swab. That's another thing. A good swabbing technique really does help, because who's not saying you're getting more gill matter on there than spores?
Yeah.
So, unless you're taking it and putting it under your scope, double checking, doing all that stuff, you know.
Oh man, I was talking to somebody recently, and I said, if you're growing albinos, at an absolute minimum, you should be scoping a piece of gill off one of the fruits out of every single tub you're harvesting. Oh, but I know it produces spores. Okay, cool.
Are they? If they do, are they viable? How about that one?
So maybe one time you swabbed, and you swabbed the gill, you streak plated, and you got germination. Cool. When was that? 2 years ago? Year and a half ago? Might be making this shit up. All I'm saying is, the minute you are selling something, you should have a lot of documentation proving what you're doing. I'm not going to name names, but somebody I knew who is a vendor sent me some swabs, and it was an albino cultigen, and had the blue tip. Not a single fucking spore on it.
Yeah, that blue tip.
And that person claims that person got the scope in the background, just like me, just like you, clearly not using it.
The good old wet swab. That's what that is. Yeah, I've seen that all too often too. Same things. I also get a lot of, hey, can you check this mono for me? Yeah, sure, no problem. And I get it, and it's bacterial dicarion. I think that's another one. Extremely bacteria. Yeah, and it's nothing grows. That's why they thought it was a mono. Yep. See that a lot.
Yep. Man, I've even seen on albino fruit, if you have different morphologies or different age of stature of the fruit, right? Like some, maybe the gills are bluing more than others. If the gills are bluing, it's a sign that it's fully matured, and likely whatever spores were going to be created on Basidia have been created, and doesn't mean they're on every fruit though. I have definitely scoped less mature fruits, no spores, or like one spore in an entire field of view, or like 3 spores in an entire field of view. Cool. But yeah, this is just like another level of giving a shit that not everybody does or has.
I think I might have sent you a picture of it. One of my favorite ones, it was actually pretty recent too, maybe like 6 or so months ago. I had a cat that was pigmented and albino, like in the spores, on the gills. And at first, I was thinking maybe they were underdeveloped and they wouldn't grow, but they were very viable. They actually produced some good results. Both pigmented and albino spores both germinated and worked. Nice. Some good results too. I actually quite enjoyed it. And that guy Bruce I was talking about, my buddy, he's been doing some work on one of those, and yeah, it's got some interesting results too. But yeah, it was really cool to see a mushroom with gills that were modeled. So I liked it.
I definitely like that. Yes. I've taken a couple. That was one of my first successful macro photography projects, was trying to take a couple of those photos, and yeah, it's pretty sexy. So speaking of that, since I got to work tomorrow pretty fucking early.
You're good.
Let's do some photos.
Sure.
Walk us through some photos so people can see some of your work. All right, give me 1 second here to turn off this and add this, and let's do it like that. Okay. All right, man. What are we looking at here?
This is actually something relatively new. This is a hillbilly pumpkin Arctic hare, and like I had said earlier, I tend to take monos from like my original cross, the Arctic hare hillbilly pumpkin. I had grabbed some monos from that, think I grabbed like 6 or 7, if I remember correctly. I have it written down somewhere, but and then I have across an isolation, sorry, of one of the dichotomous keys is crosses, and this is the result of that. This is actually the F3. It's actually just a recent project that I'm working on, and I'm going to be releasing very soon because it's been it's promising.
Cool,
I'll
man.
say that much. Yeah, I think there's a couple other photos I had sent you of it. Some big guys and some cool gills. So yeah, like that exactly.
Yeah, look at that intervenation on the gill structure. Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, they were definitely very pretty.
That dusky pewter cap color, the two-tone. Yep, I like all of that. And I love it when it frills up like that for sure.
Yeah, I like the really wavy caps. Almost took like, well, one of the grandparent fruits actually, I think is Toke F9, if I remember, because it's albino. Curly is albino emerald gates crossed with, with Toke F9. So it is.
See, guys, this is why you got to write it all down, because it doesn't matter how good your memory is. It's just too much shit to keep track of in your head.
Everything. I have books.
Yeah,
books.
You think you're going to remember. You're not going to remember it all. You got to write it down. Yes.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Can definitely see some token there.
Yes.
Yep. Nice. All right, now what's this?
This is the beast. This is actually Tat Blackcap, the OG, finicky as hell, crossed with a Florida Landrace that I found myself. And
all right.
This is a winner for me. I really do enjoy these. They're very beautiful fruits. They always do pack a tub. Sometimes they will put out some monsters as well. But very reliable, very vigorous, and that's another example of me putting Landrace genetics back into finicky things to see what I can get of it. And as you see from TBC that barely puts out any fruits, amazing fruits when it does put out fruits, but just something like this is, quite a jump, I think. So.
Yeah. I mean, those are pretty decent size too.
Yeah.
That's
smaller grow, but yeah. And that's, I plucked some out of the tub, grabbed them a little too hard. Yeah. They blew real good too.
Yeah, I can tell they're a little wetter, but even still, I don't think I've ever had.
Yeah, I squeezed them.
Quite that.
Yeah, they're impressive. Sometimes they'll give you a run for their money. That's for sure.
If Ed was here, he'd just be like, you're just wasting psilocybin. You're just wasting it all. It's all polymerized there.
I'm sure, as you know, most don't. I rarely consume. I haven't done it in like a year personally, but I'm a more science-oriented person, I do love the experiences. I've done them many, many times in the past, but like at this point in my life, my therapy is this breeding and cultivation. So
I'm with you, man. I mean, I still like a museum dose. That's actually, I do a high museum dose if something's new and I'm curious what it feels like. But yeah, I got 3 kids. I work full time, busy all the time, trying to, have like a full blown cosmic experience is not happening every other weekend for me.
Hell yeah. Even those 8 to 10 hours you may need to the whole, that's a day. You need a day's vacation for that. At least to get back to your base level, you need some time.
Yeah, if I'm going to talk to trees or meet some aliens and shit like that, just crazy, dark going into my past shit. Yeah, that's not like that's all day. Yeah, you need a whole day.
Yeah, really and then to reflect on it afterwards as well, Yep.
Exactly.
For sure. One of my favorites. This is PRPP. And
PRPP. Okay.
Yeah, Peter Rabbit's Pumpkin Patch.
Oh, cool.
Now, this is actually Hillbilly Pumpkin Arctic Hare, one of the other phenotypes that I got. And it's funny, the picture on the very bottom there is Tap, another hillbilly pumpkin Arctic hare phenotype from a different Mon plate that I wasn't very happy with. It looked very cool, but the stems were hollow. They they didn't dry very well. They were I just didn't like them, so I didn't continue on that path. But what did happen is once I introduced some Florida Landrace genetics in there, we've got this Peter Rabbit's pumpkin patch right there, and
those
they
look
are
solid.
big. Yeah, oh, they are solid through and through. They're rock hard. I think that big guy came in at like 400, something like that, 380. Yeah, it was. They were pretty big. That whole tub right there put out monsters. And it was only a 12 quart duck tub. So
wow.
Yeah, to get size that big. Yeah, and yet that's actually that's Tap right there.
Nice.
So, yeah, they were just more hollow, frilly, definitely pretty fruits.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, I dig this. What is this?
This is the original TWAB, Tidal Wave Arctic Bastard. Yeah, it's a title. I loved Arctic hare. Like I said, you get to know your genetics, you work them, and this one is actually. I have a cross tidal wave Arctic hare that's stable, but during the 4th generation, I had some weird phenotypes pop up, and I decided to clone and swab and work some of those, and became this. So.
Yeah, these are cool. They remind me of like, I don't know, like sticky buns. Like they almost make me hungry.
Yeah, they're definitely interesting looking fruits. The umbos are almost like nipple-ish. I hate to say it, but very
like grandma's nipples, though.
Yeah, exactly. Or almost like
not that I've seen grandma's nipples, but you know what I mean, guys.
They're not your own,
but I haven't.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Hey, or almost like a, I hate to say it, but like that one in the back right-hand corner almost has like the morel kind of look to it.
Yeah. It also kind of looks like some people's elbows. Some people got them nasty ass elbows. Yeah, kind of looks like that.
Exactly. But this just goes to show you though there's so much variability out there in just cubensis alone. So we're only just scratching the surface of.
Man, this is still like this is what continues to blow my mind is we're not done yet.
Oh, not even
We're
close.
not done, and it's all the same species.
Yeah, just alone for this.
All the same species. It's insane.
Yep.
Ooh, I like these. These are like pottery barn mushrooms. These are just beautiful. Like they should just be in a arrangement on your coffee table or something.
To be honest with you, I think that this was another tidal wave Arctic hare phenotype, if I'm not mistaken.
All right. I like it.
Yeah, that's just
more of them sticky bun.
Yeah.
Grandpa's elbows. Okay,
and there's
more of those. I got those out of order. I should. It's okay. I tried.
All good. TWAB. That is tidal wave Arctic bastard, and that's why it's called bastard, because it is very weird. It's I've tried to stabilize it. The later generations, F8, F9, has become more stable. I know like Josh at Lost Garden, he really does like that culture. I think it's one that he's been working with, and it's become a lot more stable over the years. But the earlier generations were very, very unpredictable. That's why it got that bastard tag, because from the tidal wave Arctic hare that was very stable from almost the beginning, to get the weird fruit that turned into all these different variables was awesome. Yeah, that's more same one, tidal wave Arctic bastard.
Dude, what is that?
It has like a mohawk. I thought it was very cool. Yeah, I never seen that before until that fruit. So that's why I sent that photo over. It was very cool.
Yeah, it's fascinating the sort of screwed up morphology of the cap. It's almost like there was just one little line that didn't know what to do with itself or something, and then you got the tissue on the stipe is peeling off, but then it
was just very odd. I even tried to see if I can get that to repeat, and it never did.
Yeah, that's a new one. I have not seen that before.
Same deal.
Oh, this is. I think I sent you. I've had two different cultigens do this, where sort of the cap wraps around,
Round
and then you
itself.
got gills on the top and gills on the bottom. You got. Yeah, that reminds me of that. So that's
More of
one of
that
the.
Arctic bastard. Yep.
Ooh,
Brain muffin. Yes, yes,
bro,
yes.
brain muffin. Look at brain muffin. If there is
Yeah.
a heaven, brain muffin is. I'm gonna be laying on brain muffin. Look at that thing.
Yeah,
God
it's a
damn.
very potent, I would say. It's isolation of ABV, Albino Louis Vuitton.
Nice.
And the later generations kind of lost that fuzziness on top, but it's kept almost all the rest of the traits. Some of them do still produce the little cap, but yeah, man, they're just beautiful fruits all around. Even the later generations, nice, solid, big chunkers too. So
Nice.
that's spray muffin.
Bro, I gotta grow that because I want to take a macro photo of that tissue on the cat. That is amazing. All right, what is this?
That is blue neck. That's actually that must have got sent in with others. I forgot whose grow that is, but that one I didn't grow. But that's my blue neck. It's
Nice.
another one that I think Josh is using as well. He likes, and that's surprisingly one of the cultures that I keep hearing. Like it was one that I kind of put off to the side for a while, and then out of the woodworks, everybody would just be like, "Dude, that blue neck is out there. It's phenomenal," and it feels good to get some
Yeah.
recognition like that. So I put in some extra work and moved forward with it, and now it's like it's one of my biggest ones actually. Blue neck is it's one of the ones that people really do like. So
Dig it.
that is Hillbilly Pumpkin, Starfrost, Blue Neck, the first Blue Neck actually from the F-Zero.
Ah,
That
okay.
is from the F-Zero. I think you're
Okay.
gonna see. There you go. That is the F-Zero right there.
Dang.
Yep, you'll see. There should be some more big photos. I think of them, but yeah, they were some big boys.
Dang. Dang. What did I grow? Oh yeah, I'm working on this tab cross, and yeah, it finally threw a monster like that. I just out of nowhere. I have not grown the spores off the monster out yet. We'll see how that looks.
They still put out some big fruits. If you do a big tub of these, they give you some big boys for sure. And there you go. Stuck a swab in the gill for some perspective.
That is one of the best things about those big honking fruits is it's so easy to get into them gills.
Yep. Yeah, that beautiful fruit right there, man.
Ooh, 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 ooh.
Yeah, I love that. That man, that was when I saw them start growing. I knew right there I had to continue that one. It's
Yeah, that's great. All right.
that's
Some
actually Starry Night,
starry
man.
night. I was gonna say I haven't seen a starry night grow like this in a hot minute.
Yeah, that's actually Starry Night PE, not the Starry Night Ape or the Snake
Mm-hmm.
that people like Yoshi and
Mm-hmm.
whatnot they got. This is the PE variant, but I
Nice.
think it is not only much more stable, but it's reliable. I think I've come to love this culture really.
Yeah, man, it looks cool.
Starry Nights is definitely, as you know, finicky. Sometimes doesn't like to give you a nice full tub, but this for some reason this culture, man. Well, not for some reason. A lot of work and a lot of time put into it, but yeah, it's full tub every time, and
Wow.
they're actually the last ones that I've done. Like a year or so ago, and that should go to tell you something right there.
Yep.
So yeah, they're great. Yeah, and there's the OG TBC.
Nice.
I think
What is
that's
this
actually
big old blob here?
yeah. It's
Look at
just
that thing.
a big
Dang.
monster fruit. Yeah, just blobbed out. But yeah, the OG finicky TBC, and that's actually where I got the swabs from for the beast.
Nice.
So
Yeah, that's a nice. I've never had that many. I've never had a flush that big a tab black cap. I gave up.
There's, I think I should have some more photos of it. We should show some better ones. But oh, there's Starry Nights again. Yeah, great caps, man. Some chestnuts.
Oh yeah, I just my buddy Don King. We went to lunch and he brought some mushrooms over. I gave some to some people at work, and so they got to have some foliota for the first time. They liked it. It's a nice woody mushroom for sure.
Mm-hmm. I love all gourmets and functionals, man. I'm a sucker for it's food. That's my big pheno chestnuts. I love those
Yeah, that's
guys.
great.
Yeah, I love those. Those are big suckers. Those each of those are bigger than my hand.
Wow.
Some lion's mane.
Lion's mane. Cool. Yeah, man.
Just
Those.
to get a variety, everything out there. Why not?
All right, guys. You guys have seen some of the fruits of his labor. You can check them out. It's groundzeroml.com. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Like Ground Zero Myco Lab.
Yep.
So yeah, check him out on there. He's in my Discord. I'm sure he's in a bunch of other Discords. If you guys are in Discord, just reach out to me. I can help point you in the right direction, or you can just call out from the dark on some channel in a Discord server, and he'll I'm sure he'll hear your call.
As most that have been in the community for a little bit know that if you're serious about cultivation and you really want to know the science behind it and how to have a method to this madness, like this is something you really want to do, if you reach out, I will help you. I will hold your hand every step of the way. I've done it for a lot of folks, and my goal, this is my career. I love fungi of all sorts, and I try to do what's best for the fungi. And anything I could do to help the community as well, so that way everybody has a solid foundation so we can all grow together. I am 100% with you and will be more than happy to extend a hand. So I'm only just a shout away.
Cool, man. We'll have to do let's do a little giveaway. I'll throw down, you throw down, we'll do a giveaway in the server. How about that?
Of course.
Yeah, I'll message you about it. We'll set something up. We'll do it.
Yep, and I'll throw a shirt in too on top of whatever else we figure it out. So.
Okay. All right.
Sure.
I like it. You guys saw those? You see the logo, man? It's very cool. Definitely a nice shirt.
Yeah, I've got different varieties too, so I've got a couple logos.
Cool, man. Well, thanks for doing this. We'll have to do it again because we only sort of touched the surface. There's definitely some stuff we can go a little deeper on. So we'll have to do that.
Yeah, I would love to talk about crossing and like actual crossing.
Yeah.
And talk about the science behind all of that.
Yeah,
there's a lot to talk about.
Let's do. Yeah, what I'm trying to get better at here is, the forward-facing public stuff. Trying to walk that fine line of talking about it, not demonstrating it, not detailed explanations on stuff.
Yep.
But maybe do some of that just on the website. So I've been talking with a few people about how to get that set up, and that's all in the works. So yeah, maybe we'll have to do a real deep dive on some of that stuff. I like it.
Always
cool,
down,
man. All right, guys. GroundZeroML.com. Go check him out. Try some of his stuff. I have only been... Everything I've grown of his has been like, oh, shit, okay. That's a absolutely full bag of that cross, and that cross, and that cross. I dig it.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, really good stuff.
I thank you for taking the time to actually grow my stuff. And same thing for anybody out there who's tried my stuff and enjoy it. It means the world to me. As long as you're happy, it gives me the motivation to keep doing this and want to keep going. We're all in it together, man. We're all kind of just here wandering around, not really knowing what's going on. So we
all got dumped down here with no instruction manuals, and yet we're all figuring it out.
Yep.
Exactly. Yes. All right, man. Well, take care, and we'll do this again soon.
Yes, sir. Looking forward to it. Everybody have a wonderful night.
All right. Good night.
Good night.
All right, guys. GroundZero in the house. Got to know him a little bit, right? Even I learned a couple things about him I didn't know. It was good. It was good. Now, let me tell you this, too, about him. He is the only, and I repeat, only breeder I have ever talked to who has explicitly, after finding out I grew some of their stuff, said, so what do you think? Honestly, what do you like about it? What don't you like about it? Really solicited for feedback. He cares. It's something you don't see a lot. Got a lot of people just gunning, just throwing it out there. But this guy actually, oh, you grow? Oh, cool. Let's talk about it. I want to know what you think. I want to know how it worked for you. I want to know what it was like to grow it, all that good stuff. Not a common thing to be asked or discussed by most people. So it just shows you what he's all about. Anyway, Geeky's got to go to bed. We did the dang thing, and now we're gonna get some shut eye, go back to work like everybody else, and stay tuned. I got about 7 or 8 episodes that are brewing right now. Trying to launch the new not cultivation channel, the I love mushrooms but I don't cultivate them channel. It's going to be a lot of science. It's going to be taxonomy. It's going to be field mycology. It's going to be how identify mushrooms in the field, structures, traits. If you're ready to go to another level, that's going to be the channel for you. If all you want to do is grow mushrooms, then that is not going to be the channel for you. That'll be the channel for somebody else. Anyway, looking forward to that. Definitely got a lot of positive feedback after my return video, and I'm glad to be back, and I'm glad to keep bringing people on and helping you guys find new people to get to know, genetics to try out, things to learn, all that good stuff. So until next week, why don't you guys go grow some mushrooms?